Hi, my name is Alex Barnett. I'm Head of Developer Relations at Postman. And today I want to share with you why we believe a collaborative approach to API development is not just a nice to have, but a necessity for modern software and API development. Over the last few years, we've seen a shift from code first to API first, meaning where API development was as an afterthought to now where APIs are the foundation of modern software development. Building APIs before writing other code has major benefits. It enables developers that are reliant on those APIs to be far more productive from the get-go, as they get to know exactly what the APIs do and how they work far earlier in the process. However, as many of you probably know, API development can be complex and multifaceted. The tasks of prototyping, coding, testing, securing, and documenting, releasing those APIs are often fragmented across different tools and teams that can lead to inefficiencies, miscommunication, and delays. In traditional software development environments, silos create barriers to collaboration. Disconnected tools and processes lead to time-consuming debugging and a lack of coordination between teams. This results in a lot of manual work, slowing down developer onboarding, out-of-date APIs, and increases the potential for introducing security vulnerabilities. And when developers work in isolation, they miss out on the benefits of collaborative problem solving and shared knowledge, all of which can significantly delay progress and cause significant quality issues with those APIs. Well, a lot of companies today are using products like Postman to support their daily workflows. Many teams are still using those in a limited way, where we see individual developers run tests, save requests, generate API artifacts, but do so in their own siloed personal accounts. This is API development in single player mode. They're not actually able to share that work easily with other teammates or partners, and instead they're sharing via importing and exporting source code and find other archaic ways to share their APIs and collaborate. And when we see developers build and test APIs in silos, we often see teams duplicate work, experience versioning issues, just spend too much time trying to get up to speed on API assets. And all of this leads to inefficient API development. But it doesn't have to be this way. We need a collaborative approach to API development because it is the best approach to be able to overcome those sorts of challenges. Remember, when it comes down to APIs, you're either producing or consuming an API, and often both. And either way, you need to collaborate with other stakeholders, front-end and back-end engineers, QA engineers, product managers, and many other stakeholders. They should all be able to easily access the APIs while they're in development to understand them, provide feedback, and contribute effectively. By using a collaborative API development platform, you're able to design, mock, build, test, and organize your APIs, document them as you go along with your tests and other related API artifacts, and do so, all of that in one platform. So here's a data point to share that I think speaks to the need of a collaborative approach to API development. In Postman's 2024 State of the API report, we had over 40,000 developers and API professionals respond to our survey. And one of the questions we asked was what percent of their APIs were public, private, or partner APIs? And the answer we got back was 56% of the APIs that they're developing are for internal use only, up more than 50% in each of the prior 2 years. So the first time in 3 years now, we're seeing organizations adding private APIs at a faster rate than public and partner APIs. So the emphasis on private APIs underscores the need for tools that help teams catalog, document, and collaborate on the development of internal APIs for other teams within their organization, and not just the APIs that they're externalizing for partners or with the public internet. So we discussed some of the challenges teams face and the need for a collaborative approach for API development. And by using a single platform to enable that collaboration, your teams can experience four significant benefits. One, a dramatic acceleration of API development process throughout the life cycle and release cycles. Improved end-to-end quality of APIs themselves. The enablement of real-time collaboration across all the teams involved and throughout the development lifecycle. And fourth, enabling security at scale with robust governance and compliance. Let's go into each of these four areas in a little more detail. So whether you're designing, prototyping, building, testing, or documenting APIs, your teams should be able to do that all in one place, eliminating the need to juggle multiple tools. With Postman, you can have a single platform to collect and organize and share your API requests, making it easy for teams to discover, share, build, and run tests together, and ensure that consistency occurs throughout the development lifecycle. And this is crucial for avoiding the kinds of errors that can occur when information is scattered across different products and platforms, so that teams can quickly create, execute, and iterate on those APIs, and then reduce the time it takes to reach that satisfying 200 OK response. Quality assurance is enabled by the Postman API platform via continuous testing and early feedback loops. That means that bugs and vulnerabilities are caught early, well before they hit production, saving time and reducing the risk of those issues hitting live environments. Backend developers, product managers, they need to be able to build and share APIs mocks quickly, enabling front-end teams to start designing their UI in parallel and right away. And it's this parallel workflow that accelerates the development and improves the overall quality of the final product. Postman also facilitates smooth editing and communication of changes to any API, ensuring that everyone is aware of various updates, preventing rework, slow progress, and increased costs. Real-time collaboration across all the teams involved is crucial. Workspaces that contain the collections of APIs and artifacts are able to be shared easily in a managed way across your teams and your partners, whether internal or external. And workspaces provide a centralized location where all your stakeholders can contribute and acts as the single source of truth for related APIs, collections, environments, mocks, monitors, and other linked elements. And by collaborating this way through a workspace, your edits sync with your teams in real time, ensuring that everyone is aligned and no critical information is missed or lost. Workspaces also have a version history and a change log, enabling you to revert changes to an API collection and restore it to an earlier point in time. Team members with different specialized roles, therefore, can all collaborate and contribute in real time. And you want to do all of this while scaling in a secure way. As your API projects and your teams grow, maintaining security and compliance becomes increasingly important. Postman enables secure organization-wide distribution of APIs. Sensitive data and credentials are protected, ensuring that access is tightly controlled and that your APIs remain secure. Local data residency options also help you meet regulatory requirements by keeping your data within designated geographic regions. These governance features are really designed to protect your APIs while enabling your teams to work efficiently and at scale as needed. So those are all the benefits that Postman customers experience in using a collaborative approach to API development. Let's have a look at some of the key features that you'll want to have a look for if you're not already there, that really truly enables multiplayer mode. And do so across the development lifecycle. To set the scene, let's walk through a typical API development process where all the players need to work together throughout the journey, all the way from definition, design, prototyping, developing, testing, secure, deploy, observe, distribute, and the players involved in that process are multiple. Product managers who define the API specs, the back-end engineers who generate the code for the API and keep the code in sync, with the latest API specs, the front-end engineers building the UX and the user flows over those APIs, the QA engineers who write and trigger API contract tests, generating report results and who maintain those tests, and the technical writers who create the docs and want to keep those in sync with their content publishing platforms. And of course, the DevOps teams who automate and streamline the CI/CD processes. Each of these teams must be able to collaborate across the life cycle and not just within their own organizations, but often across teams as well as teams outside of their organizations as well. And that's a lot of complexity to manage and deal with. So let's have a look at some of the features that enable this efficient multiplayer mode. Let's start by introducing API collections. So collections are a foundational concept within Postman. They're the building blocks of API development. They allow you to organize a set of requests sent to API endpoints and include safe response from those requests, along with endpoint authorization types, parameters, headers, and other details. Collections enable you to organize your requests using folders and subfolders according to your requirements of your API project. And collections also include an environment, a set of variables that you can reuse in your requests and share with your team. All of that within a structured, accessible format, making it easy to share and collaborate with others. We include version control and change management that are built into collections that allow you to be able to track changes over time, revert to previous versions if necessary. And that's crucial for maintaining the integrity of your APIs and ensuring that changes are implemented systematically. Those are collections. So what are workspaces? Well, they're the vehicle for collaboration. You create a workspace and you add your API collections in those workspaces, and then you invite collaborators into that workspace where they can access and interact with collections immediately. This reduces the need for back and forth communication and ensures that everybody has access to the latest information. By grouping API collections into workspaces, you can then manage access, track changes, and ensure everyone is working with the latest current version of the API. And it's this combination of workspaces and collections that fundamentally changes API development from a single player activity into a multiplayer team-based enterprise. Workspaces are the shared canvas for multiplayer teamwork. So let's talk about different types of workspaces. They come in three different types: public, private, and partner workspaces, and each are tailored to different collaboration scenarios. Public workspaces enable publishing of APIs to the public API network, making those assets in those workspaces and the API collection discoverable by millions of developers across the internet. Private workspaces enable you to share API collections within your own private API network for internal teams only, offering a central directory and making them easily discoverable as workspaces and API collections. And then we have partner workspaces that allow you to secure collaboration with external partners, enabling them to be able to consume your APIs, collaborate on API projects. And each of these workspace types support role-based access control, so you can ensure that each collaborator has the appropriate permissions, maintaining your security and order within your projects. You can manage access, track changes, and ensure that everyone is working with the latest and current version of the APIs. So those are the different kinds of workspaces enabling different collaboration scenarios. Earlier this year, we introduced Spec Hub, which transforms how teams are able to work with API specifications. So instead of juggling multiple different tools and manually updating collections, documentation, and mocks, you can now design, test, and document those APIs all inside of one place inside of Postman. Spec Hub today supports Open API 3.0 and Async API 2.0, with linting, validation, and live previews to catch issues early. It keeps your specs organized and versioned across projects so that everyone's always working from the right source of truth, no more versioning or confusion, and no more overhead, just a smoother way to build. We also introduced types in collections, bringing structure and consistency to your API workflows. You can define data models for request bodies, parameters, and headers, and reuse them across your collection as you design and test. Types help you catch schema mismatches early, reduce duplication, and keep your documentation and accurate as your API evolves. And with built-in validation, autocomplete, and faster feedback loops, it's easier to stay aligned and ship with confidence. When you're troubleshooting and building APIs, it can be tough to share the relevant context with your team and also stay in the loop about changes as they happen. With Postman's app for Microsoft Teams, teams can now keep on top of those changes in Postman with channel notifications that give helpful context, such as details on what's changed and a link to the changelog. You can take quick Postman actions without leaving your chat tool, such as adding a comment or watching or forking a solution. And you get a 200 OK response faster with support from your team by sharing response links in Teams, which immediately shows if the response was successful, and if not, what kind of error has occurred. The Postman app delivers more context about when Postman links are shared and makes it possible to add Postman resources to posts without leaving Teams. It's easier to reference and reference specific Postman requests, collections, and workspaces in team exchanges when you don't have to leave the conversation to track down the link. Users who have added Postman app can search and share Postman resources as part of their posts and Teams chats and channels throughout via the message extension feature that is unique to the Microsoft Teams application. Developers often struggle to collaborate while authoring tests and manage changes between code and Postman. And by integrating GitHub and Postman, we can seamlessly manage code changes within Postman collections by syncing with GitHub branches in real time, plus the ability to explicitly pull in changes. And you can also improve collaboration and review processes with the ability to review PR changes in Postman using visual diffs for improved visibility. And those two features are now new. They're in beta, and you can try them out for yourself. You can also trigger Postman collections as tests as GitHub actions within those pipelines and manually back up collections to GitHub. We'd love to hear your feedback if you try it out on the integration, and we're going to continue to add more features that solve for additional use cases soon. Now, gaps between API specs and then actual behavior are not only frustrating for developers and users, but also can be very costly. Closing that gap between your API's build and runtime will soon be much smoother with the upcoming integration with Azure API management, which is coming soon. With this app, developers and testers will be able to import a collection and environment variables from their org's API gateway to streamline testing and debugging processes for deployed APIs. And this is just the beginning. We're continuing to invest in extensibility to make additional use cases available soon. So let's recap on the 4 benefits of using a collaborative approach to API development. 1, it accelerates development and deployment through easy discoverability, sharing, mocking, and building together, managing multiple projects and integrating with other tools and services. 2, it improves API quality and reduces errors by enabling continuous testing, mocking, and debugging all together as teams. 3, it enhances real-time collaboration by organizing API collections within workspaces, contributing together, facilitating clear communication among team members and stakeholders and external partners. And 4, it scales for growing teams and organizations, enabling robust governance and compliance and safeguarding security and privacy with local data residency. So with that, thank you very much for watching this presentation. And if you've got any feedback, please share it in the link below. Thank you.